Alright, what's up guys? So, WrestleMania has uploaded a video titled 10 WWE wrestlers who unintentionally, okay, I say it right, hurt their opponents in the ring. No, I know that I've heard, like, stories before of, like, when wrestlers, they just get mad at another wrestler and, you know, they can't be professional and they just going off the script. And so, no, I'm familiar with this, but like in case there was like any other newer situations that I didn't know about, because sometimes I can't really tell, and it looked like I caught like the first second of this video, and it looked like they were gonna show that match between Charlotte Flair and Nia Jax, and how they were kind of like going at it at one point in time. But no, like I think Nia Jax was just like, I don't know, like she knew wrestling, but it seemed like she struggled with it. It seemed like she struggled like a lot with it. So anyways, now let's go ahead and get into this video, guys. If you haven't, make sure you go subscribe to WrestleMania for more videos like this. But in that being said, let's get into this video.
Charlotte Flair does not have an answer.
That's crazy.
Wrestling can get real rather quickly. Over the years, there have been a number of incidents of wrestlers actually hurting each other for real during matches. Although these physical altercations do happen, they are rarely encouraged by WWE and can result in serious punishment for those involved. The most well-known incident of a wrestler performing legit moves and strikes on an opponent was in the Brock Lesnar vs. Randy Orton match from SummerSlam in 2016. Although this was a planned spot, Lesnar opening up Orton with vicious elbows was as real as it can possibly get. And it's important to emphasize that all the entries in this took place without express permission from WWE, and all the talent involved in these physical altercations went into business for themselves. With that being said, join us now as WrestleMania looks at 10 WWE wrestlers who intentionally hurt their opponents.
It's like that every time, because I see that like Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton won so much. Every time, like I just feel like the top of my head like hurt. I'm like, nah, bro. Like you didn't even have to do that. You could do like some fake hits or something. Like that's crazy.
Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive.
It's like he could have like, cause I don't know. My thing is like they could have portrayed it where, you know, Randy Orton was knocked out and all that. But I'm saying like there's like this cushioning part, you know, like on the side of the elbow. And he could have like had his head like that and then just like hit into like and made it seem like he was like, that's if like my thing is like if I got love for a person, I'm gonna be doing something that's not gonna like hurt them on purpose and things, you know. Yeah, just give them some of them like muscle shots and stuff and make it look like. But I'm like, to actually just pure elbow on him, no, I couldn't do that.
Number 10, Perry Saturn vs. Mike Bell. A standard enhancement match between Perry Saturn and Mike Bell on WWE Metal in 2001 became one of the most infamous squash matches of all time. During the match, Bell would botch a number of moves, and one specific botch actually resulted in Saturn landing right on his head. Now, a confused Saturn was furious with Bell, and Saturn responded rather unprofessionally by shooting on Bell. He would deliver real punches to his face, and Saturn would throw Bell through the ropes with so much force.
Yeah, I think I remember this.
Continued his assault with vicious moves which targeted his head and neck area. It is believed that Saturn's manager Terry Runnels had to inform him to just calm down. Now, Saturn's actions were scolded by WWE management.
Oh yeah.
It's likely that Saturn received the infamous moppy gimmick as a punishment for the incident. Number 9, John Cena.
Like, yeah, bro, it's like...
In April of 2004, WWE booked Tori Wilson to face Rene Dupree in an intergender match on SmackDown. The match resulted in a no contest after John Cena made the heroic save. But during Cena and Dupree's brawl, the two men legitimately began to fight each other. During a 2002 discussion on his podcast, Dupree would reveal, "I remember we were being told by Fit Finlay and the other agents that the physicality between me and John Cena afterward, where he made the save, had to look real. And let me tell you, it was as real as it can be. I busted his eyebrow open. He was bleeding. He busted my lip. And I think I had a bruise somewhere on my face. Those were 5 rounds.
That's crazy.
Making something look real and actually attacking your opponent. It was clear that both Dupree and Cena misrepresented what the WWE agents meant on this specific occasion. Number 8, Bret Hart.
Well, I mean, it was like early on in their careers and stuff, so, but dang, man, that's crazy.
This is Dynamite Kid. Dynamite Kid had a reputation for being a fantastic in-ring talent, but he also had a reputation for taking liberties with other wrestlers during matches. According to Jake the Snake Roberts, during Bret's early days in wrestling, he worked a lot with Dynamite. On one occasion, Bret was accidentally stiff in a match against Dynamite, consequently splitting his lip open. Dynamite, being the man he wasn't going to let this slide. According to Jake, Dynamite asked Jake which body part of Bret's he should open up. His eye, his nose, or his chin? Jake refused to answer, so Dynamite ruled that he was potentially going to do all three in the match.
Oh,
Bret
wow.
in later interviews would go on to call Dynamite a bully, and there appeared to be no love lost between the two talented performers. Number 7, Chris Jericho.
Dang, I'm like, fam, you ain't gotta do. I'm like, look, I just, yeah, it's stuff like that where it's like communication needs to definitely be a key factor in the match. I'm like, if you gotta like, you know, put all the like, oh, I'm gonna fight you stuff aside, and then like actually talk to that guy and be like, hey, that cut it, like you can't do that no more and stuff. So that's crazy, man.
Versus Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon isn't a trained wrestler, and sometimes he can get carried away with his offense. This was the case during the Raw vs SmackDown showdown at the 2016 Survivor Series pay-per-view. The two legal competitors in the match were Shane and the legendary Chris Jericho. Shane was notably stiff in the match, and he was legitimately punching Jericho in the face.
Oh, wow.
According to Jericho, he informed Shane several times during their spots in the match that he needed to calm down, but Shane, for whatever reason, refused to listen. Eventually, Jericho had enough, and he responded by giving Shane a devastating dropkick that landed straight on Shane's face. Following this stiff dropkick, it looked like Shane finally received the message.
He's all like, okay, so his whole body is just like, all right, so I guess he's like, maybe he was right. Maybe he was right, and I just need to chill out. But
versus Andre the
that's
Giant.
crazy.
During several of the matches between the Ultimate Warrior and Andre the Giant in the late 80s, the two Hall of Famers were perform a spot which would
he's all like, Hulk Hogan, it can't be he's like, ain't the only one that gonna lift you.
Perform an offensive move whilst Andre was defenseless. But according to iconic manager Bobby the Brain Heenan, Warrior began to take liberties during these spots, and he was notably stiff in their matches. Eventually one night, Andre had enough, and during the spot where Andre was trapped into the ropes, Andre freed himself at the last moment, so Warrior ran right into a huge fist. Running into Andre's fist at that speed would have been brutal. Number 5, Farouk versus Ahmed Johnson. Farouk was well established for being one of the toughest men in wrestling, and Ahmed Johnson found this out the hard way in the 90s. During a match between the two men, Johnson kicked Farouk with so much intensity that it caused liver damage. This came at a time period where there was extensive complaints surrounding Johnson's in-ring style, and most of the talent who worked with Johnson believed he was reckless and unsafe in the ring. Once Farouk returned to in-ring action following his injury, Farouk made it his mission to get revenge. During the next match between the two, Farouk began to legitimately fight Johnson. Farouk would attack him with so much tenacity that he would break 3 of Johnson's ribs. Number 4, the Acolytes versus the Public Enemy. And when Farouk joined
I think I remember this one, yeah.
Acolytes, the duo became synonymous for being stiff in the ring, and they usually resolved personal issues in the squared circle. When the Acolytes took on the Public Enemy on Heat in 1999, there was a disagreement backstage relating to the finish of the match. The Public Enemy were new to WWE, and Bradshaw and Farouk took exception to their lack of professionalism relating to the match. The match consisted of the Acolytes brutalizing the Public Enemy, and the match turned into a shoot fight with Bradshaw and Farouk getting the upper hand in the showdown. The Public Enemy were released shortly after this incident, and as for the Acolytes, they seemingly went unpunished for their actions, which certainly set a precedent for how WWE would treat Bradshaw in the years that followed. Number 3, Sid versus Jake the Snake Roberts. During a 2022 edition of the DDP Snakebite podcast, Jake the Snake Roberts went into detail relating to a time that a superstar was stiff with him in the ring, and Jake decided to intentionally hurt his opponent. Jake revealed, "I had an incident where a guy was giving me a clothesline every night, and it was freaking ripping my head off. I was recovering from having neck surgery, and in wrestling you can make it look like you tore the guy's head off, or you can tear the guy's head off. So the next time we wrestled, he clotheslined me, and I did a little maneuver and snapped his bicep in half with intent. And when he went down, he was grabbing his arm, the bicep rolled up on his shoulder. It looked pretty awesome, and he's screaming to ring the bell, and I jumped on top of him and grabbed his bicep and just started squeezing."
Wow, like that.
This individual is Psycho Sid. Sid has told a similar story publicly of a superstar injuring his bicep, and it's known that these two had an established personal issue with one another.
That's
Number 2,
crazy.
Umaga.
Oh yeah, cause Steve-O, so the person they gonna be talking on is Steve-O, but dang man, like that. Cause even I feel like that's another thing, like with a clothesline, like you try to like aim for kind of like their like chest and stuff, so it's just, it's just muscle hitting muscle, and then ain't like, muscle hitting bone or like bending bone, like I'm saying like it's just things like that. I'm like, fam, like y'all could do better, but
Versus the stars of Jackass. And the marketing of SummerSlam in 2007 predominantly revolved around the stars of Jackass. The planned storyline for the guys of Jackass was to see them facing Umaga, and the build to this showdown actually began the year prior. Jackass stars Steve-O and Chris Pontius were destroyed by Umaga on Raw in 2006. During this segment, Umaga was supposed to just lay out both men, but Steve-O began to laugh at Umaga's beatdown. This made Umaga furious. Umaga decided to legitimately elbow Steve-O in the head, which knocked him out. Although the SummerSlam match in 2007 was eventually cancelled, the Jackass stars will return to programming in 2022, where Sami Zayn began a rivalry with Johnny Knoxville. And number 1, The Big Show versus the Spirit Squad. The Spirit Squad were a group of male cheerleaders that were featured on WWE programming during the Ruthless Aggression era. In 2006, the stable got to work against The Big Show, and according to Spirit Squad member Johnny, The Big Show during one specific match decided to shoot on him by legitimately beating him up. This F is due to Johnny mocking The Big Show by telling him to pick up a sandwich during a live event match. Johnny revealed that the next time he encountered The Big Show in the ring, The Big Show punished him and put his health and safety in great jeopardy. Johnny felt completely powerless as he knew WWE management wouldn't do a thing about it. Well, there you have it, folks.
That's
Be sure to
crazy.
leave a comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
I'm saying, like, sometimes, like, a part of me is like, hey, you know what? Like, I would have loved to be a wrestler, like, growing up. But then another part of me is like, see, then stuff like that, it's just, oh no, man. Like, one day I would like to have, like, something going on with wrestling, but yeah, I'm like, I at least want to be cool with the people and stuff. So, man, that's just crazy. But anyways, that was a pretty good video. Shout out to WrestleMania. Make sure if you guys haven't, go subscribe to them for more videos like that. Like, subscribe to me too, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace.